Hey, I'm Linda Lee with Keller Williams. Today we have Simone with Fairway Mortgage. I'm getting a lot of questions. People are asking, I really love that house, but I need to sell my house before I can buy it. But, what are the options? What's possible? So today, that's why I'm inviting Simone to, we're doing the show together, and we want to share a lot of information with you. I believe you find it very helpful. I'm Linda Lee. I've been in real estate over 21 years, San Diego residence over 40 years. Went to high school, UCSD, master accounting from USC. I'm UCSD alumni, USC, and also Ernst & Young. So love real estate, have been with Keller Williams 12 plus years, and absolutely love to help my clients. So we always believe in providing the most updated market information because market change all the time. I don't do the business same way in terms of marketing approach like I did last year. I have to continue to enhance and improve upon it. So here's Simone, and so she's going to share with you, hey, if you for example, one of my potential new client, she sold this house she liked for $3.8 million, and she wants to sell her home for about the market value, probably about 3.8 million, something around that range. So she's like, what would be possible? So this is pretty timely. So Simone.
Hi there, I'm Simone de Lira with Fairway Mortgage. I've been in the industry over 22 years as a loan officer and just would like to come share a couple different creative ideas that people are doing. I know there's a lot of people sitting on equity today. Whether or not they own their home free and clear or whether or not they have a mortgage on it, a lot of people have a lot of equity. And in today's market where inventory is so tight, it is really hard to get offers accepted. So, the first thing that pops into everybody's mind is maybe I'll do a home equity line, pull out some cash, and then I can use that to purchase. But then when things are so competitive, the challenge that we run into is, this isn't a cash offer. Oh, this is contingent on me selling my house. And so we've had to really dig into the programs that have always been out there, just people aren't using for today's market. And two of those really hot loans right now, one is a bridge loan, the other one is cross-collateralization. So what a bridge loan is, or cross-collateralization, is when you are collateralizing the equity in your current home to purchase another one. Now, the two differ a little bit, and different investors have different rules, but the idea with a bridge loan is that you would be able to get a large portion of your equity out and be able to use that to purchase your future home, either non-contingent, potentially with cash. If you had the difference in down payment to pay for something in full cash, then you could. And then after you purchase the home, you would pay off that bridge loan because you're going to sell the departure home. So again, we have a home, it's owned, maybe it's for $3.5 million, like you were saying, your client, okay? They own it free and clear. So maybe they can get almost 2.5 out of it to use to purchase something else. And then when the home sells, they can have it paid off. The beauty of this is that they don't have to show their home and they don't have to have their home sold before they can go into the next purchase. So this helps speed things up for them, helps their offers look more attractive.
So in terms of, so how would this work? Let's say the home worth $3.5 million. Let's say that they owe $1 million on it. So they had $2.5 million equity. So how much they can use and really what are they looking at, cost and all that?
That's a great question. Investors are going to change and vary from lender to lender. However, typically it's about 65% total loan to value. So if you already owe $1 million, then that's going to count towards the 65%. But they will let you use the difference. Now, some lenders make exceptions to go all the way up to 75%.
Got it.
It depends on a case-by-case basis as well. I mean, how good is the person's credit, that kind of stuff. Now, on a bridge loan, some of them are bridge to sell. Some of them are just bridge. And so some of them have monthly payments that are pretty low, interest-only payments. Some actually, they will take those interest-only payments for 1 year, for 12 months that you would need, and they will use your current equity as setting aside for those payments. So you don't actually have to have a payment.
Oh, wow.
And then you could sell your home, and maybe you sell your home in 2 months. You get the difference back from the net proceeds, but they will put aside 12 months because you do have 12 months to pay off the bridge loan in most cases.
And what are those interest rates look like for the bridge loans?
They're a little bit higher than where standard interest rates are at today.
Okay.
They're going to be probably about 2% higher.
Okay.
They're short-term loans.
Okay.
So, without giving an exact quote, just know it's a very short-term loan, a little bit higher than where the market's at, but it gets you your equity. It alleviates you having a payment on it, and puts you into that new home a lot sooner than having to sell.
Okay, so basically, maybe around 2 points higher than market rate. How about points? Do they have to pay points for this loan, for this equity?
Every institution is going to be different.
Okay.
So some investors, you can build that into the interest rate. Some investors, you can't. So that's going to be case by case.
Got it.
I think the big picture here is to find out if you're a candidate that has enough equity to use the product. There are going to be loan amount minimums and loan amount maximums at every investor.
Sure.
So, I think a minimum might be at some investors 400,000, other investors 800,000. So if you can't make the minimum, then the product might not be ideal for you. These products are geared towards people who have a lot of equity in their home, not just 30-40%. And there are some products, but the more equity you try and use, the more expensive it's going to get.
Sure. So you mentioned about the credit scores. So that's important too for them making the loan. So they will run the credit on the clients as well?
Yeah, they'll run the credit on the clients. They'll make sure they have a lendable score.
Okay.
With some bridge loans, there is no debt to income calculation. They're not even going to look at the income. All they're going to look at is the credit score and the equity in the home. Some bridge loans do require qualifications. So some investors require it, some don't.
So let's say that you don't have income, then they can still possibly use this product as long as they are equating the property, and then that would be fine. I mean, let's say they have the credit score is over 800. They have, $2-3 million worth equity on their home, so it's totally doable. Like someone who's retiree that does not really have an income.
I'm going to give you a great example.
Okay.
So I had a client in LA who has owned a home for quite a while. It's now free and clear. Maybe it's worth $1.3 million. Okay. And they said, it's an investment property for them. They don't want to hold on to it. They actually want to move. They're thinking of moving out of state. So they get an equity line, they get a bridge loan for $800,000 on this home. They take that money and they go buy a place out of state for $800,000. When the place in LA sells, they pay the bridge off, and now they have a home for $800,000 free and clear.
Wow, that's really a great option. I think that especially also family with kids. It's so hard, not have the new home situated and have the home show. And actually, really, nowadays, everybody watch so much HGTV. They want a home they want to buy is perfect, right?
Exactly.
Less people want sweat equity, so they want homes just show model perfect. So I think that will be great for a lot of family. They can already use this type of product, moving to the new home, and then we, pretty their house up, still for the top dollar than they could possibly when they're living in the house. And that's a win-win.
It is. It really is. The other option is the cross-collateralization. So the cross-collateralization is when you're actually going to leverage and lien two of the properties. So let's say, for example, you were going to depart one residence, you wanted to buy a new residence. These loans you do have to qualify for. They're going to put whatever amount that you're collateralizing, let's just call it $1 million. They're going to put a lien on the departure residence and the new residence for $1 million. Doesn't mean you owe $2 million, but they are liening both properties because they're using both of them as collateral.
Okay. So when you do that, do you write the offers contingent, or would the seller know?
It's going to depend on the amount of money they're getting out, whether or
Okay.
not they need. It ideally should be non-contingent
Sure,
because
of course.
it's going to depend on, is the money that they're getting enough on top of maybe their savings to purchase this new home. The cross-collateralization also is not necessarily a short-term loan. It can be,
Okay.
but you can also keep it in place.
Okay.
And so this is more for people maybe trying to build a wealth portfolio of a lot of real estate owned, maybe for more investors, people that don't necessarily want to pay it off right away. They just want to leverage more equity in different homes to purchase more homes.
Oh.
So that's but the more leverage you spread yourself across, the more collateral you're putting up. So the liens are going to go to every home that you're collateralizing.
And then is the interest rate better then for that type of property, for that loan?
It's pretty similar to the bridge loan.
Okay.
The cross collateralization is more for people who don't intend to sell the home.
Okay.
They want to hold the other home that they're using the equity in.
Got it. Interesting. So also, from the buyer perspective, there's a lot of, some listings come out with assumable loans. The loan is assumable. And then I really have not heard that working out. So can you share some lights? How does that work anyway?
Sure, yeah. Right now, a lot of people are asking about assumable rates because rates were really low. And so a lot of mortgages were and are assumable. Now, the tricky part gets into it is when a buyer wants to assume a seller's loan, you have to go by that servicer that the seller has by their rules. So the buyer is going to have to qualify with that servicer to assume the loan, and everybody, both parties, is going to have to be okay with the time frame. Now, there's really no gain for a company to assume a loan, like financially. So they are not going to be caring if you've got a 30-day close of escrow, 20-day close of escrow. There's nothing that is going to make them have to commit to the terms of the contract. So both parties are just going to have to be willing to wait the time that it's going to take to do it. When people aren't in a hurry to do something like this, like between family members, it works out great. An assumable loan is fantastic for the right people, but both parties have to know ahead of time what all the parameters are and be okay with it.
So this said that house, the interest rate is 3.5%, and it's assumable loan. Mm-hmm. So for the new owner, do they get to assume that 3.5%?
If they're approved.
Oh, wow.
If they're approved, and if the seller is willing to wait for the approval to go through for them to sell the home.
I see. And then realistically, I understand there's no financial interest for the servicers. So realistically, how many days will we be maybe looking at for a deal to be done?
That answer is going to vary case by case to every different servicer and their turn time. Somebody might say 30 days. Somebody might say 130 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are there any way to expedite that? Because, really, in this market right now, we are looking, also today, the interest rate, I think, north of 7%. So if they can buy a property at 3.5%, that's incredible saving. So, what can be done?
I don't have a good answer for that.
Okay.
I really don't. I think that in this market, that's kind of like winning the lottery.
Yeah.
If you can assume somebody's mortgage and buy their house, you just won the lottery. But you also have to keep in mind that if you're assuming somebody's mortgage, whatever their balance is, let's say, for example, it's $1 million home, they owe $500,000, you assume the $500,000, that person buying the home has got to come in with a down payment of $500,000 of the difference. So it requires a significant more of a down payment, or the servicer would have to be good within a second mortgage going behind it. There are not too many investors, not too many lenders that let second mortgages go behind assumed loans
Got it.
at the time of the transition. So that makes it another tricky step as well.
That's a very good point, because I didn't even think about, they assume, for example, one of my clients was so excited. They went to the open house. The listing agent told them, hey, this loan is assumable. They were so excited. They called me. They want to put an offer. We did put an offer. But then they end up having like 8 to 10 offers. They're like, they don't want to deal with a buyer who had to assume the loan, because they don't even know how that entail. So when was some, that's why I'm like, I hear more and more about it, but I'm like, who has really got that done? That's why I was curious.
I haven't seen anybody get it done.
Okay.
I've had a lot of people ask about it. Not anybody get it done. It maybe if we were in a market where there was not multiple offers on properties and we didn't have the inventory issue that we have, you might see it, if that was the only offer you're getting on the property, then sure. But if you've got, 5 people behind them in line who will take today's rate mortgage, they're going to pass that up.
Okay, great. So let's go back to the bridge loan.
Sure.
I'm thinking for my clients that can be applicable, and most of them are very seasoned, they could be real estate investor. I mean, when we buy our home, we are investing in real estate, really, so they are very savvy. They have very solid income, very solid job, great credit score. And let's go back to, let's say again, $3.5 million, both sides. What would be the best for this type of client to prepare to be in a position for bridge loan when they see something they really love and they are not quite ready, because again, they need the equity, they need a down payment and all that. What would be most ideal for them to prep themselves to get this done?
So, they really should reach out to a loan officer that can actually have access to a bridge loan first and get pre-approved.
Okay.
That would be the first step. Not every lender does bridge loans.
Okay.
So it's not something that just everybody has at their disposal. So you want to make sure that you're not having to navigate that at the time that you're wanting to make the offer. So you get the pre-approval in with somebody that can close the transaction and figure out what the turn times are to fund the bridge loan.
Okay.
Once you fund the bridge loan, the time starts ticking, right? So if you want to move right away and you're actively making offers, then you probably want to go ahead and fund that bridge loan if you're sure about it. If you're not so sure about it, that would technically change it to a contingent offer if it wasn't funded. Because it has to be funded. So I think that it really just depends on timing of the investor, like how quickly they can fund it.
Okay.
Now, they will have to do an appraisal on the property to determine the value. But it's, like I said, if you go for one of these that don't have the income requirements, then that piece gets taken out so they can close a lot quicker. So you might have an investor that says, I can close in 10 days, and that might be satisfactory. You might have a lender that says, well, it's going to take me 25 days, So it just depends on that person's situation and what the investor's turn times are on what the best advice would be. But definitely find somebody, a loan officer that can do them.
And you could.
And get pre-approved. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's make sure. So if I could, because I just want to make sure we understand clearly how this process works. So they say if I'm somebody that I want to do that, I come to you, I get approval process. They do my appraisal on the loan, on the property, and they said, hey, Linda, I can loan you, $1 million. And then they say it's going to take them 21 days. So they say I get it done in 21 days. They fund the loan. It's basically another escrow. Mm-hmm. They close the escrow. They disperse the fund to me. So the fund will be to my account, let's say on day 22, and I have $1 million in my account day 22. Then I can write an offer showing I can buy the property with $1 million down. Let's say the property I'm buying is $2.5 million. So I can close to 40% down. So I can do that, right? Like ideally, okay.
You can also give the approval for the bridge loan if you wanted to. Explain it to the seller if you think that that's something that would benefit them to say, hey, this is how I'm having the funds for this. And show them that you've already been approved for it.
Okay.
If they're willing to wait, then say, okay, well, now it's only going to take 3 days and the funds are mine.
Okay.
Then maybe they can postpone the funding. Okay. So you have to strategically do it, depending on what investor you're working with.
Yes.
But I would say that you don't necessarily have to have the money in your account to be making the offer.
Got it. So this is kind of two sides. If I have when I have the money in my account to write an offer as a non-contingent offer, so I believe the offer looks stronger. When I'm a contingent buyer, like showing that, hey, I have to, get this bridge loan to purchase property, they can doubt my ability on the second leg, right? I need to get a loan. In addition, that's just down payment. I get additional loan for that purchase. And would there be any more issue? Would that be any issue come up, right? So I think the best position will be my down payment is already in my bank account. If not, I write a non-contingent, then that's it's a little bit better than, hey, I have to sell my home than to purchase it, right? Okay, I got it. So let's walk through that whole process so it's easier for everybody else to understand. So let's say that I got $1 million in my account, I make an offer, I got accepted at 2.5, and then we closed escrow on that purchase at $2.5 million, and whatever the payment would be. So you are saying some of the lender, they will set aside the loan is a year. This is a 1 year's interest only, and they might possibly set aside a year payment from the loan that I borrow. So they are making that payment. So it's not necessary I'm adding to the new mortgage I'm paying on top of that to pay for this bridge loan.
Correct.
Okay. So let's say that, okay, I'm moving to my new home, and then I'm moving to I close escrow on the purchase. I'm moving to my new home 30 days later when we close escrow, and then once I move out of my current home, then I get renovation, upgrade, and whatever need to be done to sell for the top dollar to be most attractive. Let's say it take me 3 weeks to get that done, and I put the house on the market when that's done, and then boom. Make a open house that weekend with doing the agent let's say I'm list my own property, of course, and then we did a great job. We got that property sold in that weekend. We got a 21-day closing. So they say I close 21 days later. I get my fund day 22nd. Then I will pay off that bridge loan, and then there's no prepayment penalty.
Correct.
Okay, so most of them are no prepayment penalty. So if I'm looking at that way,
if they do have a prepayment penalty, they can be bought out. I know some investors do have prepayment penalties, but they can be bought out up front. So they just what that means is, hey, for this interest rate, you got to hold the loan for this long. For a little bit higher interest rate, there's no prepayment penalty.
Got it. Okay, so basically, let's assume that I don't have prepayment penalty. Then, I take the interest rate without prepayment penalty. There's a prepayment penalty one way or the other. It just have to do with the rate.
Well, and it depends. Not every investor does, but I'm being cautious.
Sure. So basically, I'm thinking my carrying cost to buy this home. I had 21. Once it's funded, 21 days, and then 22 day. I get a loan. So the time I start paying interest rate, I spent 3 weeks to get my house ready, and another 3 weeks for escrow. So that's 42 days. So let's say by the time I pay off 45 days. So basically, I'm paying 45 days for that $1 million equity I took out from my property.
Correct.
Yeah, that's not bad.
And then it pays back. I mean, whatever after you pay it off, then you get to keep all the net proceeds. So the longer it takes you to sell your house, the less you'll net back. But it's only an interest-only payment less. It's not a significant amount. And then the amount that you get afterwards, because now remember, you weren't allowed to take 100% of the equity.
Sure.
So let's say you took 65% of the equity, okay? So that part was already used. So now when you sell, you're going to have another chunk coming to you, some net proceeds. You can then take that and pay down the new mortgage that you got on the new property. Most mortgages, I'm not going to say all, but most mortgages allow for a one-time pay down within the 30 years, and it will re-amortize your payment and reset it off of that balance.
Okay.
Or you could refinance.
Yeah, that's right.
Given where rates are at today, refinancing might be a better option when you get to that point because rates probably going to be lower. So refinancing would do that as well.
Yeah, and then if I basically wait for 6 months to refinance, by the time this deal is done, we're kind of 2 months into the mortgage, so I have 4 more months before I can have the refi completed.
Correct.
Well, I just paid down the down payment. Well, you know what? It depends. I mean, the market, I think, having a great loan officer to work with, have a great realtor to work with, they will guide you, really what would be the best. And really, at the end of the day, it's the client's decision.
Yes.
What makes the best sense for them, you know? And I always tell my client, because I totally understand. They don't want to tell me the whole picture. They tell me part of it, and I have to figure out more and more. And with somebody like Simone and I think it would be best if you tell us what you're worried about, really openly, and then we can give you the best strategy possible. And then working with professionals like us, I think really go a long way. We are not discount brokers. You pay what you get for, and so important. People like, I save here, then I'm like, yeah, but you don't know what you have lost, So I just think in this market, and this is a tough market, it really for seller and buyer, it's just not that even the housing is sitting on the market a little bit longer. It's not like, first 3 months of 2022 and everything just so quickly. And even at that time, when you really look at the average market time, even at that time, still 20 some days. Everybody think everything sold for 3 days. No, it did not, So what the bite, the headline want you to believe compared to reality, there are always some discrepancies.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I think that you made a really good point talking about, the discount brokers and stuff like that, because you have to realize that nothing in this world is free. Yeah. So if you're getting a discount of some sort, you're losing a value somewhere.
Yeah.
So what are they not doing for you that somebody else is going to do for you is what you have to ask yourself if you're getting a discount.
Yeah. And then, like company like Keller Williams, we did, gosh, how many, billions. I think 1 out of every 5 transactions in the U.S. are Keller Williams transactions. So think about the huge platform you have, not only in the U.S., also around the world. Your property is not just being viewed by San Diego buyers, by anywhere in the world. And then with the global connection that you have, it's tremendous. And I was happy to do your real estate portfolio analysis for you. We had done that. We did our very first edition, and we're going to do that for all our clients on every 6-month basis. And so you have like, hey, all my property is worth this much, at this time. And, and we're going to continue to provide that information every 6 months. So you see how much you grow. I have clients literally come to me and said, wow, I had no idea I'm sitting on $7 million worth or $9 million worth of real estate. They didn't realize how much it has appreciated. And, it's just fantastic. And then that's why and then also it's our belief, and that's why I'll continue to work with Simone more and more. We want to provide workshop like this that's informational, it's helpful, and then you could, you can benefit from it. So I'm Linda Lee, I'm Keller Williams. My number is 858-254-5399. Feel free to reach out. We can set up private appointment so we can discuss this further. Simone?
It's been a pleasure being on here with you, Linda. Thank you for having me.
Sure.
One last parting advice that I want to give everybody out there is that, the more you do tell your lender, the more that they can help you.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as you telling us too much and getting a worse deal. We'll actually get you a better deal and find the best product for you the more information that we have.
And how do they reach out to you?
They reach out to me. My phone number is 619-804-7212. And I'm with Fairway Mortgage, Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and I look forward to helping everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. You guys take care. We look forward to hearing from you. Bye.